1911 versus Glock. Which one should you buy? First thing to consider, old design, modern design. Yes, they are old, new. Does the fact that this is old make it irrelevant? No. A well-built 1911 that uses quality parts will run. Again, a well-built 1911 that uses quality parts will run. The only problem is there's a multitude of makers where there's only one maker of Glock. So when I say that, Glock has certain tolerances that are acceptable for Glock, plus or minus. If they fall into that category, they go into the gun and the gun normally functions. With a 1911, you have so many different makers that have their own set of tolerances. Now, if you buy a gun, like I said, from a quality manufacturing company, such as this Les Baer, you don't have to buy a Les Baer. You can buy a Springfield, you can buy a Colt, you can buy a Kimber, but this one just happens to be a Les Baer. But if you buy a 1911 from a quality maker that uses quality parts, normally you will have a 1911 that runs. Even though this is an old design, it still will run if it's built right. Just remember, there's one maker of Glock, there's a ton of companies that build 1911s. So take that into consideration when you're looking 1911 versus Glock. Next thing to consider, a lot of people are concerned and obsessed actually with capacity. Now, this gun, this Glock 48, holds 10 rounds from the factory. This gun, a 1911 chambered in 9mm, holds 10 rounds from the factory. Now, even though they are similar in that aspect, they are very different in other aspects. The weight alone between the two guns, the size of the two guns, that's totally different. But capacity-wise, they are the same. Now, you can step up to something like a Glock 45 or 17 that holds 17 rounds. So you're going from 10 to 17, or 10 plus 1, 11, to 17 plus 1, 18. That's a big difference. That's something that only you can decide. And to me, 10 versus 17, certain situations, it makes a big difference. Other situations, it doesn't. Let me say this. In a law enforcement military setting, I think it makes a big difference. In a civilian concealed carry world, I don't think it makes that big of a difference. The next thing, let's start with the Glock. Glocks, they are super easy to learn how to shoot. They are super easy to learn how to shoot well. I know from my experience in training that I can take someone who has never shot a gun ever before in their life, and by the end of one full 8-hour day, I can have them putting rounds on paper confidently with this platform. Now, switch over to a 1911. You're going to have some people tell you that a 1911 is an expert's gun. I don't believe so at all. A 1911 is a platform that you need to dedicate yourself to, that you need to practice with, that you need to become proficient with, but a 1911 is not an expert's gun. If you give me 8 hours on a range, by the end of that 8 hours, I can teach that same person who has never shot a gun before to shoot just as accurately with this gun as I can this gun. Now, we do have to take into account we have a thumb safety and a single action trigger. That's a benefit and it's a hindrance. The benefit is most shooters will shoot this gun much more accurately, much quicker than they will this gun. The hindrance is unless they train, they are going to, and I've seen it over and over again, they are going to forget to use the thumb safety. Not only to swipe it off, but also to swipe it on. That's a big deal, and it takes training. So is a 1911 an expert's gun? Absolutely not. A 1911 is a gun you have to dedicate yourself to. And if you do, you can become just as proficient, even more so, on this platform as you can this platform. Aftermarket. One thing that people choose this gun for is the aftermarket is huge. You can find literally anything that you want for this gun. Sights, new slides, new barrels, new triggers, new slide releases, new magazine releases. You can send it off and have it textured. You can do literally anything with this gun, and for the most part, not all of them, but for the most part, you can do it yourself without a gunsmith, as opposed to this gun. If you're going to buy this gun, the aftermarket is still huge. It's enormous. This was the beginning of the aftermarket, not this gun. This gun was the beginning of the aftermarket. The only problem is, for most people, not all, but most people, you cannot do the aftermarket upgrades yourself. A new barrel has to be fit to this gun. A new trigger has to be fit to this gun. A trigger job has to be performed by a gunsmith. A new thumb safety has to be fit to this gun. You see where I'm coming from. So the aftermarket is huge in this gun, but it's huge in this gun. But where this gun takes the cake is the fact that you can do all the work yourself. Where with this one, unless you're experienced, you need to send it off to a gunsmith. The elephant in the room. For a Glock, you can have this gun, a Glock 48. This is not the MOS model, for somewhere between $400 and $450. All right. For this gun, a 9mm or less bear, you can have it for $2,200. So price comes into the equation here. Just about any Glock you want, you can have for $600 or less. Now, we are living in a time where all guns are more expensive. So yes, I actually paid more than $600 for this gun. Even though I can get a discount on them, I bought this gun at regular price. This gun, I believe, was $650. And I paid for it. Now, if I wanted to go out and buy the latest and greatest 1911, say it's not a Les Bear like this one. Say it's a new Springfield or a Kimber or, I don't know, Colt. I'm going to pay at a bare minimum for a quality 1911, $800 to $900. So, if I'm going to pay $900 for a quality 1911, and it's not going to have all the features this one has on it, but it's going to be a quality 1911 versus this gun for $400 to $450, most people are going this route. So, 1911 versus Glock. Which one's right for you? I can't tell you. They are totally different guns. A Glock is a gun that you can pick up, and at the end of a week of training, you can pretty much have it. It's a point and shoot gun. There's no manual safeties. they're easy to take down. They're easy to maintain. They're easy to add parts to customize. Whereas this gun takes a little more training and it takes commitment. This gun doesn't take commitment to be proficient with. This gun, it kind of does. Now, again, I do not believe this is an expert's gun. I believe this gun just needs to be in the hands of someone who is committed to the platform. If you're committed to the platform, this gun will serve you well. This gun will also serve you well. Which gun is right for you? I can't tell you that. Let me tell you this. For those of y'all that don't know, I'm in law enforcement. And up until the point that I got into law enforcement, I carried a Les Bear chambered in 45 ACP every day. That was my carry gun. I trained with that gun all the time. I was so familiar with that gun that if anything wasn't right, I knew it. Was I an expert? No, I wasn't an expert, but I was dedicated to the platform. Once I got into law enforcement, my agency carries Glocks. At that point, I decided I was going to be committed to the Glock platform. Now, I owned several Glocks before I ever got into law enforcement. So don't think that just because I got into law enforcement that I decided I was going to shoot Glocks. I was very familiar with Glocks before that. But once I got into law enforcement and I was mandated to carry a Glock on duty, I decided I was going to carry a Glock all the time. I decided that I was going to train with a gun that I carried 5 days a week. That way, if something did happen, I would have as much intimate knowledge about it as I did this. Now, that being said, I still love 1911s. And when I retire from law enforcement, I will be carrying a 1911. That's just what I'm comfortable with. I have shot 1911s so much that they're just a part. Shooting a 1911 is just natural to me. I don't know how else to explain it. With a Glock, I love Glocks. I respect the design, the simplicity, the ease of use, the ease of training people on a Glock. But it's not a part of me like a 1911 is. People have preferences. If you prefer a Glock, by all means, go with a Glock. If you prefer a 1911, just make sure that you are carrying and training with a 1911 that's well built from a quality manufacturer and they use good quality parts. If you have those first two things and you maintain that gun to an acceptable level, that gun will serve you well. I hope you enjoyed the video. I could not go over every aspect of a Glock versus a 1911. I just wanted to make something quick that y'all could see and maybe get a little insight from. Maybe it would help you out on your decision if you wanted to go with a Glock or whether you wanted to go with a 1911. Some people look at 1911s and they hear a lot of stuff on the internet and they think, man, am I getting over my head by going with a 1911? Nah, you're not, man. If you want a 1911, jump in with both feet and embrace it. A 1911 will serve you well if you dedicate yourself to that platform. But you know what? It's that case with every gun. You should train with the gun that you are going to carry. you should know that gun inside and out. You should be so familiar with that gun and so comfortable with that gun that that gun feels like an extension of your arm. So whether it's a 1911 or whether it's a Glock or whether it's a Smith & Wesson M&P, or man, don't make it a Springfield XD, but if you do, good luck. But anyway, whatever gun you choose, make sure you train with it. Make sure that you are proficient with it. And above all else, make sure you carry it. Because if you're not carrying it, it ain't doing you a daggum bit of good. Thank y'all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.